Welcome to the first ever production, if you will, of the Pine Skull Project podcast, brought to you by Outfox Studios. I am your host, Joseph Thompson. We have Brett Stagliano with us today, ex-pilot. He's just well-rounded dude. I had the pleasure of doing a couple of videos with him prior, and we just decided to branch out and make a different topic of videos of such. That being said, you probably recognize him from the last time me and him were together. We discussed flat Earth and a whole slew of different fun facts, if you will.
Yeah, it was fun, all right.
So, how you doing today, Brad?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How about yourself?
Oh man, I can't complain. Another beautiful day.
All right, that's awesome. You know what? And maybe I appreciate you having me back on. Maybe this will turn into a thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's so awesome to have you. Like I said, this is the Pine Skull Project. Started out as an audio podcast. You can find it on all major audio podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the whole nine. Brad reached out to me as of recent and had a little idea for like talking points that he wanted to discuss. And this episode is going to be a lot different for a unique twist as to what we have done in the past. So I'm definitely excited to hear about it.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast, let me tell you. I want to kind of preface this by saying that, my main gig is in the financial industry, personal development, more kind of like, not like motivation, like rah, 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 what most people think of, kind of wooey woo kind of thing. No, nothing like that. I'm really interested in kind of the psychology of, what's going on in here and in here, what makes us tick and, how we define ourselves going forward in our lives. And I think that is just kind of like, central to anything and everything else that we do. I also want to preface this by saying that, whatever I talk about, I'm not, an expert on. I'm very much a practitioner, very much on the path of growth myself. So right. I'm, if something doesn't make sense to you, then speak out. Something or, whatever, if people want to leave comments, saying, hey, I disagree with that, then I'm open to it, because this is just a journey that we're all on. I'm just the messenger trying to convey it,
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense. I agree with you. A lot of our journey, if you will, has to do with a lot of self-wellness. How at peace and happy you are, in your endeavor, whether you decide to change paths midlife or however you want to do it, it's just our path to make it easier, not harder,
Yeah, exactly. So I guess really the place to start off would be kind of the beginning. And I think the beginning is more or less how we see ourselves in our own personal, lens, so to speak, in terms of how we view who we are. And one thing I want to bring to light, and this is more important now than it's ever been, because with social media and us just, like sitting in front of our phones and, we post on Instagram and Facebook and we post to get the likes and, we're kind of like, we're put ourselves on the stage, so to speak, and it's all predicated on, the acceptance of others and how other people view us. And, to me, that is like the most restrictive thing that we can even ever do to us. It's like shackling ourselves to everybody's opinion.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's the same, if you think about it, because I do stand-up comedy. So I share a stage with, all these other great comedians and artists and those who do music. And, it's pretty much we do content based on the reactions of other people. So, I mean, social media has taken a great step since it first showed its face. So, I mean, you're right. Everything is so technology centered at this point.
Yeah, very much so. And now that you mentioned that, I'm gonna have to check out some of your comedy because, I love comedy, bro. That's cool.
I am available on YouTube. I just did a bit for Carolina Seafood and Steaks out in Myrtle Beach. It is titled "I Like It Raw." It's a cool bit. I've been kind of honored to do stand-up comedy with quite a few different people all over the place. So that's awesome as well. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Jay Thompson 29. So I have that content available on those platforms as well.
Awesome, brother. I'll check you out on that for sure.
Definitely.
But I think the problem is where it becomes problematic is I think we spend too much when we all do this. We're all the same, to some degree. We all spend way too much time in here. There's a saying that if I can remember correctly, our dreams and ambitions live and die inside of our brains, between our ears. Most of our battles are won and lost between our ears. And that's because we live in here. This is we collect information, we collect data, and we are too concerned with I'm sure, like, watching a movie, you've watched the credits and you've gone all the way to the end, and I'm sure we've seen cab driver number 2 and bouncer number 1, and I mean, it's kind of almost a representation of people that don't really are not even important to our inner circle. But we care so much. We care too much about what bouncer 1 and cab driver 2 think of us. These are just people that that are passively in our lives, and we form opinions thinking about how they perceive us. And when it really doesn't matter. I mean, it's like these people are not paying your bills at the end of the day with your opinions. It just doesn't work like that.
Nope.
So yeah. So, I mean, I think we give too much time to that. And I think we waste a lot of our own personal time. And, I mean, as far as life goes, I mean, there's no guarantee that we're going to be here tomorrow or the next minute at all. I mean, it could end. And I think part of what our problem is we have a depth perception issue. The depth perception being that we think we have years to go, and I have time to get to reach my dreams and my goals and everything I want to do. And that kind of correlates to how we think of our time.
Yeah.
And we tend to yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I just wanted to add, like, a little bit of it has to do with a lot of stuff we can't control. A lot of it has to do with stuff that we perceive as important, and in reality, if you just make peace with yourself and realize you can't control everything, then you might be a little bit better off. I'm no advocate myself. I don't know a whole lot about the whole self-wellness aspect, but when it comes to personal peace and personal happiness, it all just starts with how much can you really control. Are you good and kind to people from a natural, humble basis? Or are you just doing it for show? Are you doing it for likes? Are you doing it for, the approval of other people? And, it's just kind of like you said, an inner look to yourself. Just check that first,
Yeah, it's very true. No, you nailed it. You hit it on the head, because, there was something I read a long time ago. This is kind of like we're going back to kind of Think and Grow Rich kind of thing. Back in the early 1900s, when there was this new thought movement going on, there was something called the Master Key System that I used to listen to, which is really good. If you ever find that is some really good psychological stuff right there. And the premise being that everything that we experience is from within, not from without. Right. So even external things that we are experiencing from without, we filter from within, and then we internalize it into our own experience, our own personal experience. And, I think having known that reality, we have a kind of a personal responsibility to kind of be the gatekeeper of our own mind. And I think we need to be discerning as far as what we let in and what we don't let in, and this is going to kind of come back around to almost like the flat earth thing, because it's like, yeah, I will admit I got intrigued with that. I got slightly addicted to that, again, I'm on this journey with everybody else. I'm no better, but we sink our teeth into things that may attach to our egos, and they're not right. They're not, it doesn't make sense, and I don't care about the biases. I'm not going to go into the theory, but I'm gonna kind of circle around it a little bit for a minute here, because we align ourselves with things that we think are so important at the moment, and they feel important because they've grabbed onto us inside. But at the same time, we are giving our time to it.
Yeah,
That it's not
we
going to
are.
give anything in return.
Nope.
I mean, it may give us like a 5 seconds of gratification. We just won an argument. Oh my gosh, how special. It doesn't mean anything.
And it's like we dive so much into the personality of somebody else and the
Yeah.
looks, the beliefs, if you will, of so many other people, and it's like you have to take a step back and remember, like, that's not as important.
No.
You can't dive into your first prejudgmental beliefs. You have to look into everything with an open mind, an open heart. It all
Hmm.
boils down to, can you put those aside long enough to be truly humble to yourself? Like, yeah, you might see this person in one aspect or the other, but it boils down to, you were there at one point.
Right.
You may be there in the future. So you have to treat everything with kindness. Treat everything with
Yeah.
an open mind. Not everything is as vague and oblique as
Hmm.
it appears to be on social media. It's covered up by, as I mentioned, in prior shows, what is hot right now. What
Yeah.
can you bring that will bring your views and your likes and your, comments and or quotes, prayers, promises.
Hmm.
Um, it's so guddled by what's popular, not necessarily what's factual in today's time, and that's the problem. That's a
Yeah.
huge problem. Not everybody's willing to admit that, though.
Hmm. No, that's very true, and I think again, this thing that we're talking on right now. I mean, I don't know if you're on your laptop or your phone, doesn't matter, because it's like
That-
everything that we're connected to. I mean, this is either going to speed time up for us or it's going to slow time down. It's either respecting time or it's disrespecting our time. When we're just scrolling through Facebook and just scrolling up, yeah, it's definitely attached itself to the endorphin. We're getting the endorphin rush from it, and just like seeing what's next, what's next, what's next, what's next. Oh, look at her, that kind of thing. Okay, but at the same time, we don't get that time back. We're not
No,
compensated for that time. You don't,
no,
I mean, do, does caring about the Kardashians pay you anything? Does it make the quality of your life better? Does it make the quality of your life better knowing what's going on with Britney Spears, her estate, and her dad? Does it really matter? I mean, I'm sorry, even sports. Love sports just as much as the next dude. That's fine. I'm into football, love football. But you know what? Sitting there having the cooler talk, with other dudes about the favorite sports team. What is it doing for the quality of your life,
yeah,
other than just filling a space and just talking and passing time? Is it filling your bank account? Is it actually, bumping you up to the next level? So I think we need to kind of think about these things, because it's like, at the end of the day, if we are not building ourselves up, we're not any good for the people that are in our immediate circle that we love.
yeah.
You know?
It's different for everybody.
Yeah.
Whether it's baby steps to get there, or whether it literally just happens in the blink of an eye. It
Hmm.
happens at some point for nearly everybody, and this whole misconception that everybody starts with the same tools to succeed
Yep.
is garbage, because you do have people that are born into things they can't control, poverty, the food issue with starvation all across the globe. It's not just one or two families in the states itself, but it's happening worldwide. So you just have to think about it from, you have to get out of your own mind. You have to quit being so single subject minded, because not
Right.
everybody was granted the same paths or the same opportunities at that point in time that
Mm.
you are, you
Right.
know? So it's a misconception around a lot of people. Some people were granted with a lot more silver spoons, if you will, than
Hmm.
others. And it's just, you have to do. There's a saying, especially in the kitchen, you have to use what you have. You
Right.
know, you have to deal with what you have at that point in time with what you got, the tools that you are blessed with.
Oh
And
yeah.
not many people look at it from that side of the spectrum.
Yeah. No, that's very, very true. I mean, it's just like I think it just comes down to awareness, self-awareness,
Yeah.
and able to go inside and peel back the onion, because we've all got, we've all come from, different sides of the tracks, and we all have, different circumstances. And like me, I had an alcoholic father, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's just an alcoholic father. I had an older father too. He passed away when I was 16. He was 61. So he had me in later life. And so, I went without him. I mean, for a while there, I was it's gonna sound terrible. I was actually kind of happy. I was not happy, but I was relieved. You
Yeah.
know, someone's
Sometimes,
monster to you. It's just like the monsters.
I
And then yeah,
think that might have a lot to do with it, but at the same time, you molded your own
yeah,
path. You know what
hmm
I mean? You took steps to better your quality of life.
right, right.
And I mean, it took a lot of work. And that's, a
Oh yeah,
lot of how it is. It's baby steps. You
of
know what I
course.
mean? You can't just do it in the blink of an eye. You have
No,
to take day by day,
yeah,
and like we touched on at the beginning of the show, is literally how, what can you control? What
mm,
can't you control? I read a thing online and it kind of struck me as funny because it's also true. We're all literally one brain,
hmm
right? And we're in a skeleton suit, which
yeah,
is literally surrounded by meat armor.
hmm yeah,
I mean, you absorb everything visual, whether you hear it, your brain is processing all those signals. So I mean, it's crazy, but it's definitely factual.
yeah. No, no. You brought something up there, because we are the one mind concept. I mean, there's something called the universal mind. It's just kind of universal thought, and it's just kind of something that we're just kind of born with. It's just a universal awareness before we kind of colorize it with our own personal experiences. you
Yeah.
know so you have the universal thought, universal mind, and then you have static mind, which is your filter of everything.
Your
you
subconscious,
yeah, your
you know?
subconscious. That's exactly what it's explaining. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not only is it your subconscious, it's, muscle memory. Are
Yeah.
you experiencing the same things in your life over and over again? And
Right.
it's deja vu moments, For me
hmm
personally, I don't dream often, but if I do, for some weird reason in my past 30 years, it touches again periodically. And I heard a thing. I don't delve too deep into religious or political talks because it never goes the way people think it does.
hmm
But they're like, at the end of life, you see a tunnel, and that tunnel is literally into where the child is born again, and all the collective thoughts from the subconscious make that baby cry, and that's what starts the other life. And so, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's
so
interesting.
yeah, like if you think about it, there's so much that you could learn
hmm
history from, the earth itself and just the
Oh yeah.
earth's age. And I mean, so many
Yeah.
cool, it's like it's just hard to dig into one specifically.
Right. Right. I think kind of the key to that is being able to kind of quiet ourselves down inside, and just kind of I'm gonna bring up meditation. And I know a lot of people kind of have, oh, it's a bit, again, it's extremely practical. If you've ever experimented with it, it's extremely practical and very it's very elevating you
Well,
know
meditation is also handed in different ways. You know
yes.
what I mean? You have actual meditation brought through by the ancient monks, and then you have yoga. You have musical meditation where
Mm-hmm.
you just absorb music for a while.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people eat and watch their favorite show while they
Of
meditate.
course.
It's just a form of relaxation.
Right.
And that's what a lot of our viewers may or may not understand is however you find a form of relaxation, you're technically bringing about a form of meditation, a
Right.
touch with the universe itself. So I could definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and it could be used, and I mean, there's different levels of it. It could be used in different ways. I mean, it could be used, in very intense therapeutic ways where you're just go deep into the core, peel back that onion, and
Uh,
you want to touch the nucleus of something that happened when you were, 9 or 10 years old, or 8 years old, or 17 years old. Go back to that and be like, I want to heal this. I want to get in there and sit down next to this pain, sit down next to whatever has been plaguing me through life,
yeah.
befriend it and just like kind of just work with it. So I mean, you can kind of manipulate and play with this too. That's where meditation is
Yeah.
good.
And some people take it in a different, completely different direction. They touch
Hmm.
the new in other ways.
Yeah.
Wink. Wink. I had to bring that if you don't catch on to it the
No,
immediate
I
second.
got you. I
Okay.
got you. Yes, I got.
But yeah,
There.
it's all about, what, the brain perceives as those natural endorphins.
Right.
I completely agree with that. It's many different forms. So it's unique for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, definitely. But I think, I think in terms of like being entrepreneur, like we're both entrepreneurs. You're doing your comedy, and you're doing something that I'm sure you want to turn into, a fruition. You want it to become something, and you want to make a living from it. You know.
Yeah, it's all about residual.
Yeah.
And that word is loosely brought about because everybody is literally looking for a free handout, right?
Yeah. Of
And
course.
unfortunately, with that free handout, nobody is willing to do the work that it
Hmm.
requires to bring about their residual income dreams to where they literally
Right.
don't have to lift a finger to make money.
Hmm.
And I mean, me personally, from a young standpoint, I was brought up in you have to work for what
Oh
you
yeah.
truly want. If you
Hmm.
don't have no heart to work, then I mean, what else is there but residual,
Oh yeah.
And some people are graced with the mind to bring that about early, and then some people aren't. It takes a
Hmm.
little bit of time to bring that to fruition. But I agree with you. There's not a lot of drive behind that, especially in these times when
Oh,
everything and anything can be found online at the move of a finger.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's very true. And I think that's part of the count goes back to kind of the addiction of social media and our devices and everything. Because it's like why partake and why struggle? Why put yourself in a position to where you're uncomfortable and you're going to strain to achieve something in life when you could just, thumb through Facebook for, 3 hours a day, you know?
Yeah. mean, Not only that, but if you think about it, we went through that issue when Corona first hit.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was making these outrageous amounts for, unemployment and literally sitting at home,
Mm-hmm.
not doing anything.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings about a problem in our current days, anyways, when you can literally get off your behind and go to your daily job,
Yeah.
make money consistently
Mm-hmm.
rather than make 7, 8, $900 each month off the government when you ain't got to lift a finger.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
that goes. That brings back another question from our earlier episode. Is that really how it's gonna be now because the government's literally handing everything to the people at the expense of the taxpayers. So
That's true. Yeah. So we're, in effect, in a way, shooting ourselves in the foot with that. I mean, I agree with it to a certain extent because it's domestic spending. It's coming back in. It filters. It's giving it to us and filtering it back in. But at the same time, the long term message here is just, you know, and I'm sorry, but it's just like I think we are just way too soft now. We are way too soft. We're like so soft that we're kind of like on a different path right now, and we expect it. We expect easy ride, we expect it. And you know what? And people want to take that route. I'm not judging. That's fine. It's personal choice,
I mean,
Mhm.
you're right. People are softer than quilted northern, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's the way,
Northern too.
unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, hey, even the name brand is Jelly. They're like, I want to be that soft one day.
Yeah.
But it's horrible, and that's based off social media. Cancel culture is touched on quite frequent, and everybody, plays it as, lightheartedness. But
Hmm.
if you say one thing wrong, and if you misinterpret something and spread it to the world, our vast fans of viewers, and somebody misconstrues one thing,
Hmm.
I mean, there could go your whole career. There goes a stand-up comedian's whole career.
Of course. Of course. Look
Look
what
into
happened
history.
to what was his name? Um, uh, Seinfeld. What was his name? The
Jerry
character,
Steinfeld.
not Jerry Seinfeld, but
Oh,
was
yeah.
Richards.
Yeah, I can't remember his actual name on there.
Yeah,
But he
yeah,
had
Richards.
hair,
Yeah,
actual
yeah,
unbuttoned.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
he did
he
some
messed
stand
up.
up in L.A.
Yeah,
early 2000s, and he lost it, man. He just lost control of his gig, and somebody was heckling him, and he started doing the racial slur thing, and that pretty much just doused his career right then and there.
well,
You
you
know,
got to figure it's not just that, but it's
yeah,
years and years and years and years ago. We had great comedians. I can't think of any right now, but I'm pretty sure those who watch will immediately click. We
yeah,
had recent
hmm,
comedians who were ridiculed and had to come on, as a live video and be like, hey,
hmm,
look, I'm sorry what I said 40, 50 years ago.
right,
It wasn't called for. You know what I mean? But that's
hmm,
past.
of
I
course,
think people are so fixated on such small things, which, granted, in their own right, aren't necessarily small,
hmm,
but they were said and or acted on during a time to where they have to remember that stuff was acceptable.
right,
You know, now they're not. I get it, but their content in the past doesn't define who they are as a person and
mm,
or content currently.
right,
So
right.
they're just so quick to try and cancel somebody. It's unreal.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just getting to. I mean, you just start to wonder what this is leading to. I mean, you start to wonder when this generation, the younger generation, comes of age and they're like in their 40s and 50s. I mean, what are we going to be like at that point?
Uh,
And it's just again, it's everybody has their own paradigm and everybody has their own way of looking at things, and if someone's idealism of living a good life is just going to work and coming home, flipping on that TV, and they get back, it's like they go from a box to a box. They go from their box at home into a box which has wheels, go into a box and work, come back and go to a box, and then just wake up again and do it all over. If that's what your desired gig is, then hey, if you don't see beyond that, then there's nothing wrong there. I'm just talking about you and as in general anybody. You know,
yeah. I
but
mean,
at the
it's
same, yeah,
about,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's still like we touched on again, it's
hmm,
open mindedness. Like, if
yeah,
you can't view a beauty of some form
of
out of
course,
everyday life and in the world and nature itself
hmm,
around you, there's
yeah,
no, you're going to get caught up like in
yeah,
your own tunnel vision. There's
mm,
no, there's no way about that. But if you can learn and teach yourself to just listen open mindedly,
yeah,
I
so
mean,
true.
you can learn and just absorb so much.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Like when you play with the choices that you have,
Yeah.
instead of like sitting there on my phone, for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, just skimming through crap,
Yeah.
and watching videos and everything, I could go find a hiking trail and just explore a little bit for about 2 to 3 hours, and you come back feeling like you have just lived.
Yeah.
You feel like you
That's
just
what
did something, and you're just, you found something that you want to go back to, and you're slightly enchanted, and you're like, this is really cool. I found a spot, And I mean,
Mhm.
just to get the blood flowing and explore a little bit. There's so much more substance and value to it, as opposed to just like, I mean, it just doesn't do anything. It doesn't.
It
And
doesn't. And like it's all about, don't walk around as a zombie.
no,
Everybody's so fixated on so many small things, man. And it's life in general that is just so many beautiful things to it. Nature, the different things that make it tick.
hmm
Um, I've even, studied different religions, studied
hmm
different languages, and there's so many things that you can find,
oh
you
yeah,
can explore. Like, unfortunately, there's not a lot that see that though. That's
right,
where, the miscommunication comes in. Not everybody is built to speak what's on their mind at that certain time.
of
And
course.
they have to hide behind that keyboard, which is, again, is
Yep.
all about the technology. So,
Yeah, yeah. And again, there's a balance. Like I said, kind of the gatekeeper of the mind, we all kind of have that where, we need to decipher for ourselves and decide for ourselves what information we're going to accept and reject. Because the way our brains work, we have a reticular activating system inside here. It's just like something, I don't know where it's at exactly in the brain, but it exists, and it's basically gives us the ability to focus on something. And if we do not gatekeep, we let everything in, and then we start having an out of control experience, and our life feels out of control. So there's a balance to that. It's a balance to what we're letting in and not letting in. And I think that the more kind of like what we were exploring with flat Earth and everything. I mean, if you cannot make a discernment and say, look, this does not. I'm an open-minded person, but this does not make sense, and I'm having to go against a paradigm that makes sense to implement a conspiracy theory that doesn't make sense for the sake of some kind of anti-establishment rebellion.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't, it just goes against. So there's nothing wrong with making a determination. Being open-minded and loving the beauty of everything is one thing, and that's a great thing. We should all do that. But at the same time, being able to put your foot down and say, this does not make sense, this is wrong, this is not up for debate, and I am no longer allowing this, and to any airtime, any playtime in my mind. you
Yeah.
know I'm going to build my family up, I'm going to build myself up, I'm going
Yeah.
to do things that enrich, and that are is important to the benefit of everyone else around me. you know
And you have to be comfortably grounded in your roots.
yeah.
You have to be comfortably grounded in your beliefs. What do you tolerate
hmm
as a soul? What do you tolerate on a daily? And, if that no longer fits in with the path you're trying to take to better yourself, then there
hmm
is zero issue with cutting that out of your life. You
yeah.
have to, everything's supposed to make it living the dream
hmm
as a practice, but you can't live that dream if you're constantly drugged back by, well, who does, this person think of me,
Right. They were back to
you
cab driver
you have to
number
worry
2
about
and bouncer number 1 here.
yeah. You have to be developed in your grounded roots. You have
Yeah.
to be comfortable with that before you'll ever be able to take the extra step
hmm
to, make further improvements to yourself.
And that's true. And I mean, some of it's self-preservation too, kind of like you've flown before, right? You've flown on an airplane.
Yeah. A couple
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, and you read like the thing with like the emergency thing with putting the mask on, and it always says put the mask on yourself first, and then put it on your children, then put it back on you, and then put it back on your children. Because if you are passed out and you have no oxygen in your brain, you're not going to be any good to your children by putting it on them. So the ability to have self-preservation and the ability to be able to build yourself up so that way you can be strong for others is pretty much paramount to anything. So that's why I use the gatekeeper analogy, because that is it's very much self-preserving. our own integrity and our own ability to maintain a useful existence, so that way we can be somebody to those that we actually love.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. But I also think in self-preservation, if you
Mhm.
do have children, the children preservation is also present.
Oh yeah.
Because Lord knows, that papa or mama bear instinct kicks in, and then
Hmm.
it's children's first. For many, many, many of our viewers, especially you yourself. So
Oh yeah.
it's you have to, again, if everybody has a breaking point,
Hmm.
but you have to, it's all about peace as well.
Yeah.
Self-preservation is a huge
Right.
aspect of inner peace. So I mean, if you find one, you will more than likely find the other, because there's just certain things that you would have tolerated, a year ago even,
Hmm.
that you no longer tolerate. And again, it's okay to cut that out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. And I mean, we're kind of like how we operate. We're kind of like thermostats almost. Kind of like we're like we have our own governor. And our that governor kind of wants to keep us at a certain level, wants to keep us at a certain point where we're, well, yeah, keep us level, and just kind of like almost like the people that we hang around too. We can hang around people that are hotter or colder. We can have people hang around people that are more aware and have a higher level of awareness, or we can hang around people that are just, hey, what's up, dude? It's all good. But at
Well,
the same,
well, I mean, you have like different strokes for different folks, I like to
yeah,
say.
of course, of
It's,
course.
you have to be careful with that too.
Yeah.
I'm very, very good at reading energies, reading people.
Hmm.
If they're not there to like better your path or better you as an individual, and if you guys can't coincide and just build each other up
Hmm.
as like a brotherhood or a family, so to speak,
Right.
then are they really worth the time that you're putting in to that friendship and or relationship?
That's true.
Are they giving you the correct nutrients out
Hmm.
of life that, say, not even, doesn't necessarily have to be family, but somebody that you've been so close and have had such a great building relationship with, is that other person giving you what that person is from a friendship nutrient standpoint? Or are you
Right.
allowing yourself to be held back to some degree because of the company you keep? So,
Yeah, yeah, it's a good point, because I mean, some people, they can, they could be giving of themselves, and then you're giving to them, and then it's like a reciprocal thing. Or some people can just be like, I'm a hot mess, and I need your energy, and I'm here to zap you of it, and it's just
yeah,
it can
it's
way.
funny. It's funny you bring that up because there are so many different things that coincide with that. There are givers of, that energy, healers, so to speak.
Hmm.
And then you have those who are just so used to that constant attention, somebody that takes all the energy all the time. And they're just physically and mentally draining to
Oh yeah.
somebody else. I mean, it's misery loves company.
No, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. I mean, I've noticed that about people. There's some people that they just weigh down a room. I mean, it's not. I'm not talking about their weight, but I'm just talking about, their energy, and it's just you get around them, and it's just like your head just automatically is like, oh my gosh, It's like,
Tense, or like, yeah, it's an instant mood change.
yeah, it's
Definitely.
so weird. It's just like, it's weird how people, and then again, you got that gatekeeper at the gate there saying, I am not going to allow this. I mean, to me, it's like what I'm trying to do in life is trying to be the better version of myself tomorrow than I am today. You know, hoping to leave this thing that we're doing right here in 10, 15 minutes a better person than I was before we did this. Just by the conversing with you.
Yeah, and it's not only that, it's,
Mhm.
you know, is it baby steps? Are you, it's
Baby.
not going to be overnight.
Yeah. I'm going to interject something here because I think we kind of live by, we live by kind of cliches. We
Yeah.
live by, money, can't buy happiness. Well, or money's not everything. Well, I have another saying, the lack of it sure can be everything. Also, it's kind of, well, just take baby steps. So you know what? Sometimes massive action equals massive results. Sometimes you need to just sometimes it's called for turning on a dime and saying, nope, fuck this. I'm not taking this anymore. Goodbye. I just let the light off. That's it. You just hit a brick wall.
It's all about impulse,
Yeah.
good judgment call.
Yeah.
And funny you mentioned that because I watched this video and I posted it on my Facebook.
Mhm.
Jake Thompson 29. It's a video. The dude was like, if anybody says that money cannot buy happiness, they don't know where to shop.
Yeah.
And it's all about, yeah, certain people you love, you do anything for those and you can
Mhm.
help better them. But if you're not feeding, financing, or, for lack of better words, fudging that
Mhm.
person, then there's really nothing you can do without money. Like, money rules everything. In order to have a better life, you need money. In order to have better living, you need money. Cars, money. Even
Of course.
taxes
Oh yeah.
on your current living situation, no matter what it is, it's
Mhm.
being charged for everything. So it's like you
Right.
gotta take everything into account whenever you start to dive into that aspect alone.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah, money is a huge, huge topic. I mean, we'll do this maybe another time with the money thing,
I
but
love
just
a
to
part
kind of
two.
touch on it, just to touch on it a little bit. The financial thing, I think we've also spent a lot of time vilifying it because we've made it. I mean, subconsciously we've been kind of doing this to ourselves. You don't have money, you're struggling. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Your job, you're not making enough at your job. It's okay. You're fine. You're fine. Money's not everything. Can't buy you happiness. Can't buy you love. We spend too much time. Again, this is kind of one of those no baby steps here. This is just no, cut it off.
Impulse.
Just yeah, impulse. Just make the decision.
Uh,
Um,
There's an old
and
saying, and I know
unless we,
you'll appreciate
I'm sorry.
there's an old saying, and I know
Yeah.
you'll appreciate this. You have to risk it to get the biscuit.
Bingo, bingo. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, here's what it is. Okay, so maintaining a job,
Yeah.
and again, I'm coming from an entrepreneurial stance, so you feel free to disagree or whatever. Whoever's watching or listening to this, feel free to disagree and leave me a comment, blast me. I don't care. Don't
Damn.
matter. 'Cause I don't care what cab driver one and bouncer number two thinks. Okay, it doesn't matter to me. But but ultimately, you know what? If we are working, and this is just a fact, if we're just working a job and just kind of moseying along in our life and we're making enough to get by but not enough to do something that allows us or our families to achieve our dreams, you are already living a predetermined outcome for your life. The lifestyle that you have now is going to be the lifestyle that you have 20 years from now or 25 years from now or 35 years from now. You're living your outcome if you are resigned to just staying at a certain level. You're looking at your life in 25. The lifestyle you have now is the lifestyle you're going to have then. That at that point, probably
Now,
even worse because you're not going to pace inflation with what you're making.
yeah, I can agree with that. But I also think that also has to do with a lot of what we've touched on this whole episode, and that's
Mm-hmm.
inner workings.
Mm-hmm.
If you are comfortable enough,
Yeah.
and depending on whatever it is, me personally, I'm in the kitchen. Somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
could be $20-$25 an hour,
Yeah.
but it's all about enjoying what you're
Yes.
doing.
Oh yeah.
Um, I think that you know I have my own beliefs about the whole 9 to 5 industry, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Whether
Of
you're
course.
first, second, or third shift,
Mm-hmm.
but I think all in all, in a nutshell, if you can kind of baseball slide through however long of that period for that
Mm-hmm.
job, I think is beneficial.
Yeah.
Uh, Doesn't mean you're stuck there your whole
No.
life.
No.
It works for that period of time that you're currently in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hey, might as well ride that wave until it
Yeah.
blows over.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes there's, and again, there's no right or wrong answers here at all.
No.
No right or wrong. It's just where we are in our level of awareness, where we are in the journey, you know.
I
And I
mean,
mean, using that baseball slide is a good example, though. Sometimes we need to take that time to align ourselves.
yeah.
Oh, and get ourselves ready for what we are embarking on in life, and sometimes we can use that as time for personal growth. We can use that to align ourselves with the people that we need to align ourselves to get where we need to go. There's kind of like a modification I've made on a saying. Well, not that I've made. I've gotten this. I can't remember who I learned this from, but it's very, very useful. You've heard the saying, "Ready, aim, fire," right?
Yeah.
Ready, aim, fire. But if you tweak that around a little bit, ready, fire, aim. It seems out of place. It seems backwards. It seems like, how would that work? But it does work. It means that you get ready, you fire, you make a decision, and then you aim the trajectory along the way. Or
Yeah.
else, because if you're just you're going to take ready, aim, fire, you're going to be aiming your whole life, and the planets are never going to align. It's never going to be the right time. So then people go to their graves like that. Well, it's like when I've talked to friends of mine, and they're like, you see them at their job, and they're like, yeah, I'm looking for a new job. I've been looking for a while now. I'll find something. You run into them, year and a half, 2 years later. Yeah, I'm looking for a job, and it's like, no, you're not. You're comfortable.
Uh,
You're sitting here. You're not. And again, it's not a judgment. It's not a
no.
judgment on them. But at the same time, it's that they're expressing something, and then they're expressing the same thing 3 years later, 2.5 years later.
It's all about, if they're not willing to help themselves,
Right.
there's not willing to take that drive.
Hmm.
And that could go hand in hand with, perception. A lot
Right.
of people have issue with, as soon as somebody says something, it's an
Hmm.
immediate reaction, it's immediate response.
Hmm.
And it's only because, people don't listen to understand anymore. People
Yeah.
are listening for that immediate response because
Hmm.
they assume that they know what's going on. They assume they know everything.
Hmm.
But kindness and understanding is a huge, huge key
Oh, it is.
to kind of help guide it. And the ready, aim, fire thing, if you wait on the right time, as you said, it won't be a right time.
Right.
You can always, there's another saying, it's called ask forgiveness first rather than permission,
Right.
or ask forgiveness first, permission later, I think is the
Hmm.
correct way.
Yeah.
You might as well just go ahead and do it because somebody somewhere is going to have an issue with whatever you do,
Oh,
no
yeah.
matter right or wrong.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's just ready, fire, aim. It's just, I mean, it's kind of like in the business world. It's just, then this is going more in terms of the entrepreneur. You
Yeah.
know, you make decisions. Not snap decisions, but just quick, educated decisions on, okay, does this sound good to me? Does this sound like it's something that's going to work? Okay, I'm gonna launch this. I'm gonna fire this, and then we're gonna aim it as we go and see where we can go with it. You
Cause
know,
and effect.
as opposed to just being safe and clinging to the rock for dear life that you're gonna fall off and go downstream. I mean, it doesn't.
It's cause and effect if you
Yeah,
think
it's
about
cause
it.
and effect, and it's
And
also being excited in life. It's also not just snapping out of the day to day kind of just, okay, well, I'm just waiting and waiting. Well, what are you waiting for? No, just make a loud noise, man. Just explode. Light yourself on fire, and people will come from miles to watch you burn, kind of thing. I don't mean that
and
literally, of course, but I mean, and I wouldn't want to see that anyways. But ultimately, no. If you just get excited about what you are excited about, and
yeah,
stop just hugging the rock and like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. It's like you're gonna die anyways. Just do it. Go for it. And I don't mean
yeah.
to simplify it. So like, well, just do it. That kind of mentality, because that doesn't do anything. But I mean, just fire. Just go. and then just take a chance. You're going to be 9 times out of 10, we're okay at the end of the day. 9 times out of 10.
I mean, it's all about, we're in such a short life. You wanna make it memorable. You wanna be on your deathbed knowing that you did everything your heart desired and you're content. Not saying you're necessarily like happy that you're dying, but you always gotta be content with your life anyway, because you can't go back and change it. It
Right.
made us who we are. So self-love, man. I'm all about it.
Yeah, definitely. But you know what? It's another way to look at it is reverse engineer it. Start from the end. Start from what what your ultimate desire is, what you have wanted to achieve. Start there and then work backwards. Write it down. Write it out. Write a map on it. Put it on a piece of paper or a dry erase board. Just first reverse engineer the steps to what it took to get you there, and then make it as small as increments as you want, and then start from where you left off at the very beginning, and then actually do the functionality of working up in real life to the steps. So there's a way of mapping it out.
Yeah. In other words, just make a blueprint of your goals and achieve step by step.
Yeah, reverse engineer it, and then go back up.
I mean, if I'm going to climb up a ladder, I'd rather not climb back down till I'm done. But you make a valid point. At least you're not going 2 rungs down. You're constantly climbing.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about is just the reverse engineering part's just kind of the blue. You're not going back down. You're just you're just the ladder as you go back, as you're mentally going back down. But then you actually physically go up it because now you have the steps laid up for you.
Oh.
It's better than just not having the ladder there and going, yep, well, someday when the planets align perfectly, it's just like, no.
I hope I don't have to grapple.
I know. It's just like, you just got to respect your time. That's what it comes. That's what the whole premise is just being self-aware, having that self-level of awareness, respecting our time. Another aspect is, if you want something in life, it comes down to the smaller, tiny things. I mean, this is going to sound like I'm reprimanding like a 5-year-old or something, or a 7-year-old. Make your bed in the morning. Get up and do something which becomes habitual. It's simple things like that, because it's like when you start creating self-disciplines, small self-disciplines that you don't normally not do. That creates a trigger. It creates a trigger effect in your mind, and it creates, like, when you get up in the morning. And I'm not perfect at this either, but I will try to remind myself to actually make the bed, and I try to make it with military precision. I envision myself like I'm in the Marine Corps, and the inspector is going to come look at it any second now, and I want to make sure there's no wrinkles. No, not OCD like.
It's funny you mentioned that. My fiance gets on me all the time because I'll make a bed and she'll like go to adjust it, and I'm like, honey, I said, if you want me to, I'll put beautiful 45s in there for you. I said, but I'm no longer in basic and I'm not trying to do all that. So she hates it.
There you go. But it's just the start of those, just those disciplines, because it's like, there's a saying, if you show me the first hour of your day, I will show you what the rest of your day looks like. Because if we wake up in disarray and we're just kind of, we grab the phone and, we're just on Facebook or whatever, you've already lost it. You're just spinning.
I'd have to only mildly disagree with you there.
Okay.
And I say that because I'm a man of spontaneity. I am very spontaneous to a degree. When I'm not working, that goes, again, this will go hand in hand with our whole episode, but you have to be open. Apart from my job, it's always good to be kind, and it's always good to be open-hearted to new things. So even if you wake up and you start slow, and you might, you might feel a little bit off. Like today
Right.
just doesn't seem like it's going to be a super great day.
Of course.
I mean, spontaneity is a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Karma is a huge aspect. So no,
Mhm.
you get different opportunities rather, and the whole goal of that aspect is to oh, there we go, is to grab it.
Yeah.
Grab what opportunities you want. Pick your battles, so to speak.
It's true. It's very true. Yeah, spontaneity. I mean, yeah, you never, that's really what, life's about. It's about having experiences in life.
Yeah.
But again, making, being able to make things happen for yourself. I mean, again, with more entrepreneurially focused, more like, okay, I want to achieve something. I mean, one thing I do, and I'm not perfect at, I try to put it into practice as best I can. I try not to touch my phone for like the first 30 minutes of the day. I do not look at it. Am I perfect at it? No, not by a long shot. But I make an attempt to not touch my phone or not touch any social media or any electronics for like the first like half an hour to 45 minutes. I reserve that for getting up, maybe getting a workout in, maybe, what muscle group I'm working on that day or whatever, or I'll sit outside with my coffee and just meditate out here, just relax. I want I want my own time. I want to dictate my time, not my phone to dictate my time, not the social media to dictate my time. Because if we're not taking control of something, something else is controlling us. So again, I know we're kind of, and I see the thing that we have here, which is cool. I respect it, I appreciate it. You've kind of got well, no, you kind of just let it be what it's going to be, love life, I agree, not disagreeing, but at the same time, if it's what I'm trying to get across though, it's like if you are trying to achieve something in life, if there's an end game that you have, it becomes very difficult and time becomes very elongated when we just kind of float through and we're just kind of whimsical and doing whatever, because then we're not focusing. I mean, there's times where there's time for execution, there's time for attacking life, there's time for taking life and kicking the shit out of it because it's kicked the shit out of you for so long.
Yeah.
So there's
and
time balance for that.
and there is time, to you can't have chaos without control,
Right,
right?
right.
So the whole aspect is to, for a lack of better words, man, we all have a hustle. We
Yeah.
all have a grind. It might
Mhm.
not be the prettiest, it might not be the easiest grind for
Mhm.
most, if not all of us, but it's all a grind. We respect the hustle regardless. So I mean, sometimes you have to deal with it, suck it up, and just handle what life throws at you.
Yeah.
For a majority of it, if you can get away with it, fuck life all you can.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's way with you, so might as well have your way with it.
I'm telling you, that's it.
So yeah, it just comes down to just the basic disciplines and how we treat our time. And we can collapse time frames. We can let time take control of us and just have its way, or we can take harness of it and turn this like if me and you were going to run a race, we're going to run 26 miles, which I think would probably kill both of us. But if we were going to run 26 miles, our pace would be very different. Our pace would be slower. We would be just barely hoofing it here.
I'm
But if we
taking it to 10 miles tops, and you better find a search party after
yeah,
that.
exactly. But I mean, and if we were just going to run a quarter mile, or if we were just going to, just run something short, our pace would be a lot quicker. It'd be faster.
Yeah,
And that's how we should view. That's how I view life. It shouldn't. Again, that's going back into the depth perception issue.
yeah,
We think we have all this time because we don't have any gauge for it. It's just we're just going to go to work and come home and go to work, come home, go to work. But then we don't know when that's going to end. We have no clue when that's if and when that's going to end, or when it's going to end actually.
right.
So, I have taken on life to where no, this is a quarter mile sprint, man. This is just, running the lap really quick. Because you know what? At the end of it, I want freedom. And
Yeah.
that's freedom. But see, there's the thing. What you're talking about in terms of being whimsical and being spontaneous and being able to, love and feel, the virtue of nature and everything, that comes from busting ass, getting free from the work that we know we have to go to every day, so that way you own your time, and that way you can be whimsical. There's a reasoning behind this whole conversation here.
Oh yeah.
It starts from the disciplines. It starts from getting up and making your bed. You win your morning, you win your day.
Yeah, it's all about grounded
Yeah.
in your roots, discipline. What are your true beliefs? What gets you up and going? What's your motivation? What do you have? Apparently, there's a purpose because we all wake up with breath in our lungs. But
Yeah.
is there a greater purpose that you're not really taking consideration of?
Right.
And that's ultimately what it's all about, man. It's making it through the day by day.
Right. And everything that I'm talking about, everything that we've been talking about here it's just awareness. It's just
It is.
becoming awake in your own life. See, that's the thing. That's like when we were dabbling in the whole conspiracy theory thing. That's just a more of a visceral head trip. That's like, oh, I know the truth, so I'm awake. No, you're not awake. Awake is realizing that you're wasting time in your own little head thing going on here, and becoming awake in your own life and empowering yourself, and empowering, the people in your circle. That's really what it's about. It's not about, oh, I proved the earth is flat. It's not. What does that do? It doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just.
Um.
Mhm.
No, I was gonna say I think we're running a little bit
Okay,
low on time at
okay,
this
that's fine.
point. But before we round out the show, I do want to say a huge honor to be having another great show with Brad Stagliano himself. Um, I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. Wanting to do a segment like this because it brings a light onto a lot of topics that a lot of people aren't willing to talk about much anymore. So
Right.
I definitely appreciate that. Huge shout out to Outfox Studio
Yeah,
again.
thank
John
you.
Finch is uh a weird genius, I'd have to say. He's got ideas. Again, Outfox Studio. We did a Let's Talk series, and just his ideas overall are pretty spot on. You can catch Brad anywhere that he gives his information. And anywhere from social media to YouTube and anything in between. Um,
Yeah.
Me, you can find me. Do
No,
what?
sorry. Yeah, I'm not really like, established in terms of doing anything like social media wise yet.
Yeah,
Um, I'll probably ramp that up really soon here, so I'll get more official content out there. But again, I really do appreciate this, and Outfox Studios, what you and John are doing. I thank you guys for having me on your show, and I hope this turns into something.
yeah. That means a lot. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, this is the first ever video cast for the Pine Skull Project podcast. Is produced by Outfox Studio. It's just ideas. I'm tired of like the mundane, man. You know what I mean? The topics that everybody's talking about isn't exactly the topics that everybody's talking about. So, like the hidden topics that everybody's really curious to know, I'm curious to pick. So it's a really beautiful thing when we have like-minded individuals like yourself and John Finch who want to test the knowledge with other people.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, again, this has been fun. It's been actually a lot of fun. It's
Definitely.
you set out with kind of like a certain ideology of what it's going to be like, and then it kind of takes on its own life, and that's the beauty of it.
It does, man. probably the greatest thing about being a creator of any sorts, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a comedian, whether you're a musician, shit, even a TikTok creator, you have a base for what you want to do. There's no reason why you can't set your own foundation and see where life takes you.
That's what it's about, man. All right. Well, I appreciate your time.
Man, Brad, thank you so much. This has been Outfox Studio Presents the Pine Skull Project podcast. Give us a like, give us a comment. Definitely share this video. Check me out on social media. J Thompson 29 for Facebook and Instagram. TikTok is Joseph Thompson 365. And you can find me on YouTube at Joseph Thompson Comedy Zone. Pine Skull Project is available everywhere. This will be posted at some point. Just stay tuned, man. It was Brad. Definitely look forward to the next one, my friend. And for all the viewers and the fans out there, until next time, I'm your host, Joseph Thompson. Catch you guys later.
Thank you so much, man. See you soon.
Bye.